Hi, welcome to the Global Digital Identity track of this Blockchaingers event, preceding the hackathon, which will lead to actual blockchain applications during the event in Groningen in April. For today, we are at the Ministry of Interior and Kingdom Relations because we discuss identity. And for this purpose, I'm honored to have as a guest someone whose identity is crucial in his life and also career, we'll notice. Because I'm here with the CEO of Tykn. His name is Tey El Rjula. Tey,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to visit the ministry again to talk about identities. And I always say it like where I come from, governments don't invite us to talk about innovation, but usually like to put them in prison.
Yeah.
But here it's nice to be in the ministry.
Being the Middle East.
Definitely coming from the Middle East, I have Middle Eastern roots.
Born in Kuwait.
Born in Kuwait for Syrian parents. So it was an unwelcoming environment there to talk with ministries about innovation and identities, but.
Because those can be dangerous for those governments.
Exactly.
Or regimes.
Yes. And in Kuwait, during the Gulf War, I lost my birth certificate. It was the only copy I had. The civil registry that issued this document, they decided to burn it because as a war tactic, usually governments burn their documents, and the civil registry decided to burn a part of their registry, and this is where my birth certificate got destroyed in the war.
So then you ceased to exist?
I ceased to exist anyway because this is what is the definition of a person losing his birth certificate. What is he called? It's a term the United Nations have coined, and the term is called an invisible man. So a person who does not have a birth certificate, he is an invisible man. And to quickly say why they made, or what does it mean to be an invisible man, according to United Nations, you are a person who do not have access to healthcare, education, money, mobility, and nobody knows about you.
And the same went for you.
Exactly. The same went for me. Now, luckily, I was a little bit fortunate that the moment I was born, my father has done my passport. So I did not need my birth certificate to prove who I am. I was using my passport.
Okay.
But when I came to the Netherlands in 2012 to work in the healthcare industry as a corporate trainer, I went to the RDV to do my driving license. And being a foreigner, the RDV asked me, where's your birth certificate? I told them, I don't have one. So on my driving license, they write that I am born in onbekend, or unknown. Yeah. And it turned out to be that now I have the most famous driving license in the Netherlands. So in every presentation, we use it to showcase how a personal problem inspired me to start Tykn.
So even though you had a passport, due to your father's efforts, you still were
because by Dutch law,
an invisible man.
I am an invisible man because you need a birth certificate to do your driving license if you are not a Dutch national. So people who are born in the Netherlands, the system can already relate. This guy is Dutch. We will not ask him for he's Dutch and he's born in the Netherlands. I will not ask him for his birth certificate. But if you're coming from Italy, from France, Belgium, Syria, wherever you're coming from, you need to aantoon your geboorteplaats, or where you are born.
Yeah, prove
it. Yes. You need to prove where you are born, and unfortunately, I can't prove it. Now, this was a small problem for the driving license, but I'm worried now for my Dutch passport. Because when I want to apply for my citizenship, I have to show my birth certificate. So how would the IND look at that? But hopefully for another interview after 2 years, we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep.
I'll keep it as a promise. Yeah.
Yeah. For now, the focus is blockchain, of course,
Yes.
and identity. Your own struggles with your formal identity have led you to found a company called Tykn.
Tykn. Tykn in Japanese means supreme authority, and similar to blockchain. Blockchain is a technology that gives us the supreme authority over our identity, over our data. And because it's a trustless technology, then there is no way to negotiate the existence of an event. Such an event can be birth, death, migration, marriage, or even a transaction. And as I said, I'm from Syrian roots. So in 2014, when my work contract was not renewed, the immigration services, they sent me a letter and said, well, Mr. Taufik, Tey, you are not here in the Netherlands for work anymore because your contract expired. So you have 3 months to leave the country or find a new job that will give you the same rules as a kennis immigrant, knowledge worker, so that you can stay in the Netherlands.
What was your response?
My response was, okay, I'm gonna find a job because I was living the, as you say, the Dutch life. So every Sunday, every Sunday you would find me in the ADO Den Haag stadium with my ADO Den Haag scooter and cheering. Saturdays, in the morning, I take my dog for a walk on Scheveningen. Friday evening, I'm in the plein having beer and eating all the nice Dutch sweets.
So in many respects, you were a visible man.
Exactly, I was a visible man, and I consider myself also to be a man that is living by the Dutch standards, equality, privacy, respect for everyone, and life was treating me good until the decision was, you have to leave. So,
but you're still here. How come?
Exactly. So this was my decision to look for a job quickly. Unfortunately, it was also a time of crisis, so nobody was willing to pay the kennis immigrant salary. And I called up my lawyer, and she said, "Hey, the best thing to do is apply for asylum because you're Syrian. You cannot go back to your country. There is war. You cannot go to Kuwait because people think when I tell them I'm born in Kuwait, say, yeah, go back to Kuwait. Yeah, but my parents are Syrian, so I'm not Kuwaiti. I'm Syrian. I applied for asylum. This was the turning point in my life, and for 2 reasons. Is first, I realized I am an invisible man, because before I was not feeling that I'm invisible. And I realized this after I gave my identity card, or what we call in Dutch my verblijfsvergunning. I gave it in Ter Apel in the AZC.
Yeah,
and
in the refugee shelter.
In the refugee shelter, and it was still valid till the end of 2014. So legally, I can stay 3 more months in the Netherlands with no problem. But I didn't want to wait for the expiry to happen, so I went 3 months before and I applied for asylum. So then I got stripped from my ID. They took away my passport, my Syrian passport. They took away my verblijfsvergunning. They took away everything I had. So not only I don't have a birth certificate now, I also don't exist. There I felt and I saw what is it to be an invisible man, and I felt also what is it to be a Syrian refugee. Thousands of refugees came to the Netherlands. They cannot prove their identity, but on a different scale, they cannot prove where did they study.
Yeah.
Even they had original certificates.
So similar to your own experience.
Exactly.
You see this in the Syrian refugees applying for asylum today.
Yes. Yeah. And this is where I thought of blockchain.
Yeah, you wanted to use that.
Exactly. I wanted to use that technology in the camp to help.
Yeah.
And I so wanted to go and knock on the IND and tell them, hey, there's a technology called blockchain. You know, if you guys can talk to the foreign minister and the foreign minister can talk to the Syrian government and the Syrian government can start issuing documents on the blockchain,
Yeah.
then if refugees come, we can directly identify them. You know, it was for me, in my simple mind, it was a very simple solution. Of course, politically it cannot happen, but this is where it struck me that, yes, if the Dutch government can issue documents, identities on a technology like a blockchain, then if the flood of 1958 happens again in the Netherlands, the Dutch people will not lose their identity. Mm-hmm. And this is where Tykn started.
Yeah, and currently you're also working with non-governmental organizations, yes, and similar ones such as the Red Cross.
Yes.
What's your purpose of your collaboration?
Yeah. Many people, they tell me the sales life cycle of a government is too long. Mm-hmm. And you're Syrian, you're a refugee, you cannot work with the Dutch government. They won't accept you, they won't allow you. Well, here I am, a proof to tell all these people that you were wrong. And because of this conviction and this persistency that we have, that we want to achieve a good cause, we want to help, and at the same time be a sustainable business, so we are not an NGO. We were looking at where can we make impact now, by the time that the governments are ready for a change. And how can we win the trust of a government? Because governments, they want to do good for the citizens. Mm-hmm. So how can we show them that we can also do the same good?
Okay, so that's the purpose.
This was the purpose, and this is where we landed with Red Cross, mm-hmm, with the 510 data team. The purpose, of course, we met the 510 data team at the Hall of Knights, mm-hmm, in Den Haag. The event Rutger, yeah, was hosting.
Yeah,
and I think it was the
founder,
opening of Blockchangers for this season. So there was the WFP director.
He was World Food Program.
Yeah, the World Food Program. He was talking about their program on using blockchain in distributing aid, mm-hmm, and their challenges that they're finding in identities. Mm-hmm. So I took the initiative and I told him what we are doing in Tykn, where we are bringing interoperability, privacy, and trust by design to identities. We can make them fraud-proof and permanent loss-proof. So even if you lose them, you can reclaim them back. So we're giving the resiliency factor.
Rather than, yes, a birth certificate,
exactly,
which can be burned.
Yes, we are giving the resiliency factor to identities, mm-hmm, specifically to digital identities. So as governments and many entities around the world, they're innovating and going from paper-based to digital identities, we want to give the resiliency factor in this digital identity. He liked our talk and conversation, and this...
Which led to
the 510 team leader, Stefania Gudini, to come and talk to me and say, we can do something together.
Addressing the
humanitarian challenges in identities and identifying vulnerable people. Mm-hmm. 510 data team, they look at data responsibility beyond compliance. So not because a bank is telling you or a government is telling you, you must be compliant with your data, they're doing this. No, they're doing this because they believe in the core propositions of digital identities. Privacy is one of them. And this is where we found each other, and we believe that we are a perfect match because I am the problem owner. I know what it is to lose your identity. I lived in a refugee camp for 2 years. I work in the blockchain technology since 2012. And they have 150 years of experience in humanitarian aid, in helping people, and identifying people, and identifying vulnerable communities and underprivileged communities. Which brings us...
And what's your dream in this cooperation with the Red Cross? if you were to design, so to say, the impact on the beneficiaries, what would it be?
This was to have this collaboration on paper. It was a dream for me for the first place. So personally, I have achieved my dream in partnering with such an honorable and huge organization. We're talking about an organization that exists 150 years old.
Yeah, so that's an honor.
That's an honor in the first place. And what we dream with them is to have the ANA ID, the ecosystem that we are building, the ANA ecosystem. ANA in Arabic means I. So the ANA ecosystem, to incorporate it in Red Cross so that beneficiaries have a type of identity where anywhere you go in the world, you can access help and you can access aid. And same thing for donors. Any donor around the world can donate directly to communities, directly to humans, without a third party being involved in deciding how to spend your money and to whom to give it. So it's a learning experience now, because we were talking.
What have you learned?
What I have learned is that
one
lesson is that blockchain is a really nice technology, but there is a real life situation. There is geography, there is culture, there is disasters, there is infrastructure, there is many things that we need to take in consideration before thinking that yes, blockchain is the solution for that.
Yeah.
I'm positive, 100% sure that blockchain is part of the solution, but it is not the whole component. It is just a small.
We do have to avoid exaggerating.
Exactly. Yes. And this is something that I have stopped doing personally.
Yeah. And what is it that blockchain cannot do in these disaster response initiatives?
Blockchain today cannot work if there's no internet. Blockchain is hard to function if you don't have a smartphone. It will function without internet. It will function without smartphone, but it will not be efficient. So better to use our centralized and legacy systems until those countries scale up to be as good in their infrastructure as we are here. Blockchain does not help when a disaster strikes, because it's too late already. If we talk about
the data sharing that
the data sharing
enables.
also, the data sharing problem also is, do we want to really incentivize people to sell their data? Is this what we want? Is this the aim? Do we want people to tell them, you will only get a bag of rice if I buy your data or you sell your data? No, you must help, even if he doesn't have an identity. An NGO, by the human standards, by the human context, you must help him. Forget about NGOs. Forget about if an old woman falls here outside at the ministry. It is our human obligation to come help her. I don't ask her, what's your name? Give me your identity, and then I will carry you. No, first thing you do is respond. And blockchain can help maybe make this response faster, can help channel money faster. But in the identity part, there is many considerations to be taken into design. There's many characteristics,
so
like
the
your inherited
response can become bigger, quicker.
Definitely, it can become bigger. It can become quicker. We can even respond before the crisis happens by using smart contracts, forecast-based financing, and blockchain technology as a backbone for these ideas to work. But they're still ideas. So
what would you need as a next step for these ideas to be achieved?
We need to be, first of all, as teams, to be realistic in what we want to achieve. We need to be also to work with experts. So experts on identity, experts on cash-based programs. You need to not to be shy to ask questions and not to be shy to leverage experience of smarter people than us and than Tykn. And we are not afraid to say we're not smart enough maybe for solving this big mission, and we need to collaborate with experts in the field.
Yeah.
And the Ministry of Interior, they have experience in identities.
Experts and
Experts.
also authorities.
And authorities, of course.
And what if authorities do not function properly in the region in which a disaster happens?
That's
which
a challenge.
Can correlate?
That's a challenge. But my point also here is, which is worse? Not to do anything at all, or to give an identity that might not be legal, that might not be accepted by the state, but accepted by 10 NGOs, where
or
the
accepted
bad
by
actors,
all,
or accepted by a
of
community,
the participants,
or
in blockchain,
or a village, or in blockchain. Or when I was in the refugee camp, I didn't have access to anything at all. The only thing I had access to was this thing, which is my smartphone. My smartphone and internet connection. I downloaded a Bitcoin wallet, and I started writing.
This was before you were involved in Tykn.
This was before I was involved in Tykn. So in the refugee camp, I downloaded a Bitcoin wallet, and I started translating articles from English to Arabic, Arabic to English, and I get paid by Bitcoin in it. Because PayPal will not open an account for me. I don't have a bank account anymore. ING will not give me a bank account. I don't have an ID. So by using an open source technology like Bitcoin, a decentralized open source technology, I was able to be financially included. This is
and self-sufficient
and
along the way.
self-sufficient for at least a week or two. Then I can order from Teys Bezorg.nl the type of pizza that I like. The scenario is for one person, but if one person is able to do this change, then in my opinion, we can roll this experience into many other constraints and many other things that are heavily centralized and that have heavy control over it. So if you are able to break one chain, the other chains, they will be broken. And internet is it's not an example, it's the proof to what I'm saying. Internet started with one guy, and he was knighted as a sir by the English Queen. So the notion of one guy pushing a whole series of innovation, I got somehow inspired by this event, and I said, if I can use Bitcoin in a place where I'm not identified, I cannot have a bank account, I'm literally invisible, then we can use it anywhere. We can use it anywhere, and we can help communities who are suffering like us.
And if you see a new generation of developers working on actual blockchain applications for other social challenges, could you provide them with a general piece of advice?
Definitely.
For instance, early April in Groningen, there'll be a weekend organized by Blockchaingers, a hackathon. All these teams, maybe 64 in total, are pressing on these social challenges.
Yes. My advice for them would be, think always in simplicity. Think simple and take your solution to the test field. Test it, iterate it, build it, test it until you reach a point where you find it to be scalable, you find it to be sustainable. And today, if you're looking at, as a developer, if you're looking to be a millionaire or if you're looking to be a billionaire, the notion has changed. A millionaire today, or a billionaire even, and these were the words of Brock Pierce in one of the Bitcoin events at D10E, I think it was in Ukraine. He said that today a billionaire is the person who influences and changes the lives of 1 billion people.
Yeah, so then you're a billionaire, in terms of human impact.
Exactly. And this is our message to developers today. You can be billionaires by not scamming people and not hacking exchanges and not stealing Bitcoins. You have the tools in your fingers to impact millions and billions of people around the world through lines of code.
Okay,
These
so
lines of code.
That's what you've been
Exactly.
working on
Yeah.
ever since
Yes.
you bought your first
Yes.
cryptocurrency
Since I
wallet.
bought my first
in the refugee
cryptocurrency in the refugee center, and we've been fully, like as they say in Dutch, full gas on this technology. We believe in it. I started in blockchain technology and bitcoins in 2012. I was a miner in the Netherlands. I was mining bitcoins. So knowing bitcoins in a refugee camp was an added value, as an advantage. But I feel I was blessed that I had 2 years to do nothing, then to study the protocol, to log on the MOOC program of University of Nicosia. I studied Bitcoin there in Cyprus. I took my certificate. I'm so proud to have a Bitcoin certificate in 2015, where I knew that one day Bitcoin will be more than even 50,000 euros. I can go to a bank, in worst case scenario, if I don't do my startup, or even if God forbid, if I lose Tykn, I can go to a bank and say, this is my certificate, I've studied there, and now I'm finishing my master's in digital currencies and blockchain technology with University of Nicosia online.
So this is how blockchain technology
Exactly.
really fuels
Exactly.
your identity.
It fuels your identity in education, it fuels your identity in money, it fuels your identity in protecting your documents, your driving license, your birth certificates, hashing documents, registering them on the blockchain. When we write contracts, we always hash the contract and register it on the blockchain as a proof that this contract existed at a period of time.
Okay, let the hackers who will develop blockchain applications keep your story in their minds.
Please,
as an
yes,
inspiration
yes,
for
yes.
human impact.
Human
Thank
impact.
you
And
very much, Tey.
it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.